So the days are starting to get shorter. The old lady has awakened in the north and the Cailleach is coming. Soon the day will be equally light and equally dark. On that day, we celebrate the equinox, this point of balance, the second of the three harvest festivals. We've talked a lot about harvesting this year, and today we are moving towards the fullness of the harvest at the great festival of Alban Elfed. Let's talk about that as we walk together down creation's path. Hello, everyone. My name is Charlie. I am a Christopagan Druid and a priest of Bridget. I am joined today by my husband.
Hello, I'm Brian. I'm a Christopagan Druid. I'm excited for the upcoming Autumnal Equinox.
I am too, and I'm really wanting apples. I'm really wanting it to be apple-y this year, hoping to do a nice cider and, I don't know, maybe an apple crumble.
Yeah, we'll have to make sure we incorporate that into our prep work for the Autumnal Equinox.
Apples to me are really a feeling of autumn for me.
Yeah, it's definitely an autumn harvest. I almost feel like for around here, we should probably be grabbing pumpkins.
Love a good pumpkin.
They grow a lot of pumpkins around here. It's definitely a produce of the region.
Before we get into this episode, I just want to remind you, don't forget to like, subscribe, follow, whatever the terminology is, wherever you're listening to this podcast. We do Christopagan Druid content on this podcast 5 days a week, and we don't want you to miss anything that we are talking about because we got some doozies coming, and we've done some, I think, amazing episodes if I'm allowed to toot my own horn. So don't forget to subscribe, and let's just get to it. So today we are going to the light of the shore, to Alban Elfed. We are here at the equinox. This is a very special holiday because for us, it is hinged between the two other harvest festivals. We start our harvest at Lunasa, and the harvest has to be finished by Samhain. In many regions, it was considered a curse if you were still harvesting the land after Samhain. Anything not harvested by Samhain belonged to the Cailleach, and if you took it from the fields, she would bring misfortune and harm upon you. I can understand that because that usually means that something bad already happened, that you're taking so long to get the harvest in.
It always makes you wonder, as a weird little side note, so does that mean if you're not growing it in the fields, it's okay to harvest it afterwards? Like if you've got some indoor fruit-bearing plants, or I always wondered, like, it's technically indoors, so that's not...
The lore about the Cailleach is complex, and maybe this fall, winter, we should do an episode on her. We haven't done any deep lore dives into any of the characters of myth and legend. In some versions, she and Bridget are the same person.
Ah.
Bridget is the Maiden of Spring, who at around this time becomes the Cailleach, becomes the old hag, the old lady, through winter, and then makes her way out to the Isle of Iona, where she drinks of the fountain of life, the waters of life there, and has her youth restored, and then travels back out to bring spring with her. That's one version of the story. There are other versions of the story where the Cailleach imprisons Bridget. She has to be saved by Macog, by Angus, who, very confusingly and upsettingly for me, depending on the story, is either her brother or her husband, and never the twain shall meet. I'm very big about that. Most of the lore to me says that he's her brother, and I just tend to rewrite anything else with brother. Don't like the other connotations in there. It's mostly in Scotland that she's a wife instead of a sister, which may show an older version of the story or something, or at least it's at least a variant of it. As we're approaching this fulfillment of the harvest, if you ever grew up on a farm, it is about now that you're really starting to bring in everything. We are surrounded by farm fields. Now is the time of harvest. And whether or not you are planting a garden, this is an important time for us to be bringing back to mind what things we have been harvesting throughout the year. We've talked about this on several episodes leading up to now. This one is a little bit different. Whereas on Lunasa, we were celebrating the first fruits. Here, we're seeing the bounty of the harvest. We're seeing how well we did throughout the year as we're preparing for the cold days of winter ahead. Remember, this is, for us, mid-autumn. Our autumn starts at Lunasa. This is mid-autumn, and winter starts at Samhain, and Yule is midwinter. Kind of view the seasons a little differently than the way many in the secular world do.
Let's be honest, it makes more sense too. At least in this area, we're still in the 70s, 80s, sometimes even 90s. Still hot days. The colder days aren't going to happen until we get closer to Samhain. The weather that one associates with winter doesn't really kick in till then.
This is a day of balance. We have equal day and equal night. That can bring to mind many images. One, I think it's very important for us right now. We feel, and I use the global we because I've been talking to a lot of you all lately. So I feel like I can say we are feeling a great stress and strain. The scales are not in balance. Many of us are feeling that the scales are tilted against us. In some ways, they are. There are a lot of moneyed interests that are not working for the betterment of all of us, that are working for the betterment of themselves. So as we're approaching this holiday, this is a time for us to start striving for that balance and starting to ask what that balance would look like. What is it that we are trying to bring in? Here in the United States, we're approaching an election. We're preparing for a harvest that will be right around Samhain, actually, just a couple days afterwards. So it's time to start thinking about what are we bringing in? What is that balance that we want to restore? What seeds have we planted and what are we bringing in? Starting to modulate our lives to get ready for the season ahead, whatever it might bring. You got to be careful about this. A lot of people are harvesting fear and dread right now. I'll be honest with you. Those are crops I want to leave out for the Cailleach.
Yeah.
Like those are crops I don't want to bring in. Fear and dread are things that can stay outside. Thank you very much.
That's what you want to leave in the field, break down into its component energy parts, basically till it in as fertilizer so that energy can be recreated into something new in next year's harvest. Just leave it in the field, till it in.
On the last episode of the Church of the Oak, I talk a lot about how we can build each other up. A big part of that is getting people to see past fear. That to me is kind of the point of this holiday. Our ancestors really did approach this with some fear, because if they didn't bring in enough harvest, if they couldn't store it away properly, they might not make it through the winter. This is a time for us to start taking stock of what those concerns are, making sure that we're bringing in all of the things in this harvest that we need so that we can face the problems that we see.
That may be one of those things where if you're taking that moment and reflecting upon the harvest that you have, say, for instance, you look out and your field is full of those weeds of fear, then remember back to the 5 powers, take that moment of mindfulness and be able to go, okay, this plant's fear, this plant's something good, this plant's fear, this plant's something. Take that concentration, sort it out. You can still harvest. You might not have as bountiful a harvest, but there's still going to be good plants in that harvest. There's still going to be things that you can harvest. Take that opportunity, right concentration, sort through, pick out the fear, throw it back into the field. Maybe it's also an opportunity to sit back and go, how did all those fear seeds get planted? Because even in figuring that out, that's still a good harvest, because at least, to say it's ravens or birds planting those seeds, and you feel, to keep those birds out of your life next spring,
or no,
so they don't put those seeds in there. Yeah. Going off of the old traditions of a ill-intended neighbor planted a bunch of weeds of fear in your garden, then next spring, keep your eye out for the ill-intended neighbor so that next time around, you can have less fear to harvest.
This really is one of the great powers that we have when we start living intentionally. We're not talking about Kobe. I'm not even talking about just trying to build up some sense of hope. I have my feelings about that. We've talked about that on the podcast before. I'm talking about what we can actually harvest. How are our relationships doing? How are we strengthening those relationships? How are we strengthening our connections with those aspects of life that give us light? That's what we are harvesting here in all of those relationships, the fruits of all of those relationships. How are we coming together to make things better, make our lives better? How are we getting ready for the cold months that are approaching? How are we collectively coming together? Our friends, our families, if we're still in contact and right relationship with them. And remember, sometimes they're not in right relationship with us, and we are not responsible for that.
You can only do what you can do.
You could only do what you can do. This is the power of gratitude and the power of Thanksgiving, because that's another thing that we do during this holiday is we give gratitude and we give Thanksgiving, because it's so easy for us to catalog all the things that we don't have. I'm going to tell you a secret here that shouldn't be a secret. The list of what you don't have will always be longer than the list of things you do. The more you are aware of things, the more things you can add onto that list of, well, I don't have this and I don't have that. When you're in that rumination, in that cycle of counting all the things that you don't have, you forget about all that you do. We've talked before about the practice of saying 100 blessings a day. This is a practice that I try do, and I really do encourage it. It's not about counting. You don't have to keep an app on your phone or get one of those clicker things to count. It's not about literally saying 100 blessings a day. It's about seeing the blessings wherever they are so that we don't miss them. It's about being mindful of them when they come our way. Even in the struggle, in the hard times, finding those places to smile, finding those places of ease, of relief, finding those places of just joy and relishing them and counting them and being grateful and thankful for them. Our brains are narrative machines. They want to tell stories. They understand the world through stories. If we're not careful, the story we start telling ourselves is one of doom, gloom, weal, and woe. That's your world. We are the stories we tell ourselves. As much as we would like to think that we're rational beings, that is an idea that came about in the 1700s and was not scientifically tested. And as we are scientifically testing it, we're finding that it is bunk.
To give an example of this, working off of the earlier analogy, I'll tell you a tale of two farmers. So we have the one farmer who pulled in 10 beans, 5 rocks, and then had a bunch of weeds left in their field. And they spent all night wailing and gnashing their teeth because they had only 10 beans to eat and they were going to be starving that winter. Then you have the tale of the second farmer who was thankful for having some food. It was more than nothing. So they were thankful for that. And they were thankful for the 5 rocks because at least now they can run off the ill-tended neighbor who's going to be planting weeds in their field next season. And they were thankful for the weeds that were grown there because they can till them in before they turn into seed so that it will fertilize this field for a much better bounty next season. In that story, we get to see in that gratitude, it helps reshape and recontextualize what we actually got. Both of them got the same 10 measly beans and a handful of rocks and a bunch of weeds in their field. But one let those weeds continue to grow to where they flowered and seeded and replanted new weeds in his own field because they were too distracted focusing on the negative and telling a bad narrative. Whereas the other went ahead and harvested and recontextualized what they had.
It's easy to get distracted. I see that a lot this year. I'm hoping to have a very joyous celebration this year, mainly in Defiance. Defiance of the Darkness is one of the greatest things that we're called to. Those people that really do want us to feel bad. They really do want us to be divided and working against each other so that we do not notice what they are doing to bring us harm. Don't want us to find joy. They don't. The billionaire class and all of the people that are working so hard to keep us distracted and fighting amongst ourselves don't want us finding joy. One of the most defiant things that we can do is not only find joy, but to share it with others. Because just as sorrow can spread, joy is infectious too. Finding those moments of gratitude, counting our blessings, however you bring that joy, that gratitude into your life, whether it's saying your 100 blessings a day like I do or any other way, you will find your way through and notice this light, this little flickering light start to spread. We're Christopagan Druids. This is the time of year for me where I'm really mindful of that parable of Jesus, that we are to let our light shine, to not put our light under a bushel. This is the time of year where we have the winds. The candles can easily go out. So you put it in a glass lamp or something, so the light still gets out, but it doesn't get blown out. Why would you put one of the bushel baskets that you're supposed to use for the harvest over it? It's not going to blow out, but it's not going to give light to anything. What good is it? Each and every one of us is a light. We all have the grace of Alban flowing through us. We are all rooted deeply in the one light. We have a light that can shine in the darkness, and the darkness cannot overcome it. There are actually competing translations of that verse, and some people don't like ambiguity, but I love ambiguity because I get to see it both ways, because I'm a both and kind of person. That verse, which is from the beginning of the Gospel of John, could either be read and the darkness could not overcome it, or the darkness could not comprehend it. I think both of these, because the darkness cannot understand light, and it cannot overcome it either. Darkness is simply the absence of light. It must flee from the light. As the sun is going to be with us less and less as the days go on here in the Northern Hemisphere, it's up to us to fill that void and let our own lights shine. We're at that point of balance. Our light should be as bright as the sun is today, so that next spring, when we hand off the other way, the sun can take over and shine brightly over the land. We fuel that fire. We fuel that light through joy. How do we find joy? We eat, we drink moderately, we work hard on the things we love, and we spend time with those that we love. That's it. That is the great secret of life. When the writer of the book of Ecclesiastes judged everything to find out how to have true joy and success, find a meaningful life. That's it. That's what it comes down to. Because everything is impermanent. Everything is liable to change. We can choose the people that we are with and around, and choose the ways that we find joy in their presence. Like we were talking about yesterday with the truth of sovereignty, we can forge those right relations so that we can truly be a light, no matter how dark we feel the world is around us. And that to me is what this holiday is going to be. The sun is fading. It's time for our light to shine. So that by the time we get to Yule, our light is still shining bright even in the darkest, longest night. It's a practice that we have to learn over time. It's not something that comes necessarily easily or naturally to a lot of us. It seems so simple that it can't work, but it does. It's taken me a lifetime to find people to have around me that bring joy, that just being together is a joyous time. We tell jokes, we tell stories, we play games, and in that we have community and we have this great sense of joy. Even in the dark times when we are full of sorrow, these are the people that know when it's appropriate to make you smile, to bring the humor in. That's how we have real power in this world. That is the real harvest that we're bringing in. This harvest of joy, of gratitude, of all of the many blessings that we planted in spring. That joy of just being together.
A side note on the harvest of joy. Joy is one of those gifts from God that is freely given every time you ask. It's one of the few things that is promised that you will have. It is freely given. It cannot be taken, but you can give it up. You can share it or you can give it up, or you can do both. It took me a long time to realize, because I kept dropping my joy, so to speak. I kept leaving it on the counter and run around without joy and be like, where did my joy go? But the cool thing is, all you do is you just go, God, I'd like some joy, please. If you're sincere in your asking, you'll get it right then and there. There'll be a sudden surge of joy. It's the craziest thing ever. Just have to ask and just give it. Once you realize it's that easy to get joy, you become more mindful not to give it up foolishly, not to get tricked into giving it up. That's one of the tools of oppression, is taking your joy away, because joy is eternal. You can always give it up. It's like that light. You can cover it with a bushel. Even in yourself, you can cover it up. Once you realize that it's just this abundant source that is eternally there, it becomes a lot easier to share that smile, to share with others. It's very infectious. It's something I love doing anytime I'm out and about. I'll just shoot someone a smile, like I'm casting a little spell. I'm going to make somebody laugh. And I am, in a way. It is magic. I shoot them this smile, Next thing you know, they're smiling. They might not even realize they're smiling because it's not that creepy smile or anything. It's a joyful smile that I'm sending to them. They receive it as such. And next thing they're smiling. And it's hilarious.
This is why it's very helpful to have a good regular prayer/meditation time. Because as Thich Nhat Hanh likes to remind us, in meditation, as we're stripping everything back, we get to that basic goodness, that basic peace, that basic joy. It's there underneath everything. We can pile a bunch of stuff on top of it. That's why I started seeing this as analogous to the parable of Jesus, the bushel. It's there. It can get buried under a bunch of stuff, but it's there as we learn to peel back and enter that mindful state. If you do nothing else, this Alban Elfed.
Harvest some joy. One other little trick I found helpful, whenever I was going through a rough patch on my drive into work, I would take a moment. I would ask God for some joy. I would do that just before arriving. So this way, at least, I would be letting my light shine as best it could, knowing full well that I was entering into a land of darkness so I could bring some light in. And odds were during the day, I would be tricked into giving it up, and struggle. But the next morning on the drive in the next day, I would just ask for it again and harvest it again and have a big bountiful basket full of joy that I would walk in with. And yeah, so by the end of the day, maybe I've given it all up and I lost my joy by the end of the day, but you know what? I'll have it again in the morning because that's when I would remember to ask. So just on your drive in, if you've got a tough patch going through, just ask. You'll be amazed. And it's okay to just keep asking because you're not supposed to judge yourself. That was the other part, is trying to remember not to judge myself at the end of the day when I would go, crap, I gave up joy. Because sometimes on the drive home, I would be smart enough to remember to ask again. So this way, by the time I got home, I was filled with joy again.
I hope this has helped you out. I hope this has brought some joy into your life, or at least helped you see how you may want to celebrate the upcoming festival. For those of you in the Southern Hemisphere, now's the time to plant joy.
Yeah.
To plant those seeds, to get ready for that harvest to come. If you enjoy this and you're somewhere that lets you like or rate the podcast, please do that. That helps us out a lot. How are you finding joy? What are you harvesting at this equinox? I'd love to know. Let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear what's going on in everybody's lives. It really does help me at least feel more connected to everyone else. If you're on YouTube or Spotify, you can leave that comment right there. They'll notify us, so we'll be able to see it and respond. And if you're anywhere else, you can leave that comment there and then copy it and go over to creationspaths.com, click chat, paste it there, and then we'll be able to see it because they will notify us and let us know that you left a comment, and we will be able to have a conversation over there. I really do enjoy going through the comments every day. It is one of the brightest points of my day. And thank you to everyone who's been leaving those. If you have a couple dollars you could pass our way, it really does help us out a lot to keep the power on, keep food on our table, and to keep doing this at such a regular pace. While you're at creationspaths.com, you can join up for a membership. We will be doing classes soon, and they will be going out to members first and then out to everybody else. If you want to support us somewhere else, you can go to either Patreon or Ko-fi. I am C. Dorset on both. CEDORSETT. That goes to support everything I do, from music to writing to everything. Thank you all so much, everyone who does that. It really does mean a lot. If you don't have any money right now, and trust me, I get it. Me either. But if you could help by sharing this episode or this podcast or any of the work that we do with anybody that you think could use it, could find meaning in it, and help us to grow and to spread the word, that really does help us out more than you could ever possibly know. And thank you to everybody who's doing that as well. So until next time, may the grace of the One Life come up and show you all the great and wonderful things that are ready for you to harvest as we go into this autumnal equinox together. Amen.
Amen.